All right, a collective sigh of relief after a pathetic game against the Giants about 10 days ago. The Eagles bounced back and really worthwhile performance by Jalen and the crew. We have a great show for you this morning, a really special guest that I am indebted to because early on in the magazine, he really helped us out at a very important time. Doug Pederson of the Eagles will be joining us, obviously the first Super Bowl winning coach in Eagles history. And my good friend Mark Eckel is with us. Mark, where'd you watch the game and what'd you think?
I watched it at the local sports bar that I have to go to when they're
You
not
prefer it at home or at the bar? Be honest. Your wife doesn't
Oh,
listen.
it's both. It's both.
Okay.
I mean, if it's a game I care about and I want to watch, I'd rather be home because I can stop it and I can do whatever I want to do. But it's fun. I mean, the bar I go to is a great sports bar. It really is. I'll give a little plug. Sagru's Pub in North Myrtle Beach. Great place. Yeah. Anyway, so I was there because if I stayed home, I would have had to watch Carolina and the Jets, and I didn't really want to do that. So
you say it's a great sports bar. I don't think I've ever been to a bad one. Have you? If they got beer and they got TVs, I mean, what else do you need?
You know what? Here's my pet peeve. You call yourself a sports bar. And you go in and they have like 2 games on instead of
that's
and they don't have sound on. They have music.
Okay, I got you. I stand corrected, partner.
I think this game. Well, you didn't ask me yet. You asked me what I thought of the game.
Yeah, let me jump into these brief commercials here. And first of all,
real easy.
First of all, if you like the podcast, hit like and subscribe. We're getting a lot more viewers this year. We're excited about it. Of course, special guests like Doug Pederson help that. So if you're watching this, please like and subscribe on whatever social media channel you happen to be tuning in on. We record this in Mount Laurel at the Sweet Recording Studios. Our good friend Joe Gangemi can take care of you if you want to do a podcast, and who doesn't these days? Contact Joe at sweetrecording.com. Our good friend Chris Wilhelm of Citywide Mortgage. He has a plan for all of your mortgage needs. If you need house money, that's a pretty good term for a mortgage. House money, I usually relate to a casino, but call Chris Wilhelm at 609-234-4304. Chris Wilhelm, Citywide Mortgage. Tony DiGirolamo Financial. Do you want to know what your financial advisor is not telling you? Do you want to know why you should have life insurance? Do you want to know what Medicare is not paying? If you want answers, call Tony DiGirolamo, Retirement Income Certified Professional, 609-541-7515. And finally, Adjust Your Sleep Mattress Boutique located in Marlton, New Jersey. Did you know that sleep is essential to your health? And your sleep system is the foundation of optimal rest. If you need your sleep game adjusted to championship level, at Adjust Your Sleep, we specialize in men's health with precision, pain-free sleep systems built to boost your stamina, performance, and to recover. Whether you're grinding through the week or gearing up for game day, we've got custom mattresses for every budget. Change your mattress, change your life. Call Kelly at 856-357-3640 and take your sleep to Super Bowl status. And finally, a plug for my business, JerseyMan Magazine. The new October issue is out, Doug. You can read that on for free on our website, JerseyManMagazine.com. The new issue is up with Vic Fangio on the cover. And we've got our November 13th Unmasking the Legacy Gala coming up. I know Gary Cobb and a bunch of celebrities going to be there. We raise a ton of money for charity. If you're interested in tickets, contact me, Ken, at JerseyManMagazine.com, and you will have a wonderful evening, that I promise you. Okay, so we're going to bring in a guy who I met, I got Doug's cell phone. I don't even know if you know this story, Doug, but I got your cell phone number from Dick Vermeil. And Coach told me, he said, listen, I'm going to give you his number, but don't ever give it to anybody else. I said, that's a fair deal. And, the Eagles had just won the Super Bowl, and Doug was a hot commodity. I mean, he was going on the Tonight Show. He's doing everything. So I call him, and I think I might have left you a voice message. I think he got back to me, and I said, listen, could I get it like 20 minutes of your time? I just want to do this quick story. I explained to him who I was and who the magazine was. He goes, yeah, no problem. I said, well, when do you want to do it? He goes, how about now? So, so I pull over. I forget. I think I was at a rest stop somewhere. I get a notepad out. I'm asking him all these questions, and obviously I'm indebted to you for that because you were really really busy back then. But I think it's indicative of what kind of a guy you are and the success you've had. Welcome to the show, Doug Pederson. Thanks for coming on.
Ken, thank you for having me, Mark. Good to see you guys. So happy to be on today and get a chance to spend some time with you.
Appreciate that. So, where are you living now? Where's home base?
Yeah, we're down in Florida, Jupiter, Florida,
Okay.
is where we are. This is what we call home, and been here 5 years now. Actually bought this house during the pandemic in 2020.
Oh wow.
We found it and purchased it, and always said we were going to be down in Florida whenever the football and the rat race was over, and obviously this is where we are now during this time of transition.
How close is Jupiter to Jacksonville geographically?
Drive time is about 3.5 hours,
Okay.
straight up I-95, and keep going. I'll be right in Philadelphia. So it's literally the I-95 corridor straight north from Jupiter, 3.5 hours into Jacksonville.
Well, it's interesting you bought a house 3.5 hours from Jacksonville where you were coaching. I assume you slept in your office like Coach Vermeil and did some of that stuff so you didn't have to commute so much.
Yeah, we actually had a house in Jacksonville as well, but it was nice in the off season to get away on a weekend to come down and spend some time here and kind of unplug, during the off season program. Then even during the summertime when you get that time off, we always came down here to Jupiter and but during the season, I was in Jacksonville full time, just like I was in Philadelphia, and going through the grind that way. So just enjoyed it, and again, just during this transition time where we're just experiencing the nice weather down here in South Florida.
I heard there's a couple good golf courses in Jupiter too, and I know
Not
you
too
like to
bad.
tee it up. You haven't run into Tiger down there, have you? In Jupiter?
No, but his son plays over at our club, Tequesta Country Club,
Oh wow.
and we've had a chance to kind of run into him, Charlie Woods, and haven't seen Tiger yet, but had a chance to run into his son a few times over there at Tequesta.
Well, Tiger's laid up with another back surgery here recently, unfortunately. But I'm going to hand it over to Mark to ask you a couple of questions. But before I do, you're too young to hang it up, my man. I did the research. You're 11 years younger than me, and I'm still working. So, what do you think? You going to put your hat back in the ring for one or two more go arounds, or what?
I'm going to see what comes about. Obviously there's got to be interest on both sides, and I still have a passion to coach and still love being around the game and being around the players and still feel like you have a lot to give. But again, at the same time, you got to have somebody willing to, take a chance, take a gamble, and be able to go through that whole interview process again. So we'll see the next few months. I mean, as the league is beginning to shape up, we're kind of getting into that sort of that second quarter of the season right now, and there's always rumors out there about coaches on the hot seat, this, that, and the other, and I know that from firsthand experience, obviously, but we'll see what happens, and would love to entertain anything that comes my way.
Would you consider college? The University of Florida is looking for a head coach right now. Is that an area that you might be interested in if the NFL just doesn't have any more opportunities for you as a head coach?
Yeah, college landscape has changed so much here in the recent years. With the transfer portal, with NIL, you see what Coach Belichick, and there's been former NFL coaches actually in college football right now, and I think it's something you'd have to. For me personally, I'd love to stay in the NFL if that's the road that I go down. But I think anymore, you can kind of treat college football much like free agency in the National Football League and really build your roster that way. And it's just changed. I've never coached in college before, obviously. It'd be probably a learning curve just a little bit, but you never know. You never know what's going to come down that
Yeah.
path.
Well, it's getting closer to being the same because you're running college programs now with NIL money and the budgets and everything that pro teams have. But Mark, did you covered Doug, right?
One year.
I mean,
1 year.
did you ask him the tough probing questions that you were known to in the Eagles locker? I
Oh,
know.
I tried.
I'm twitching. I'm twitching right now.
I'm retired now, Doug. I got out of that tough business, but I was going to ask you how far Jupiter is to Gainesville, but I was,
Yeah, it's close. It's about 3 hours to Gainesville from here.
but no, you're right about your old buddy Frank Reich, who's coaching Stanford this year. I mean, he said he's only going to do it for a year. I guess he's helping out Andrew Luck there, but it is becoming, like you said. I mean, like a lot of guys are like they have general managers now in college. Andrew Luck is Stanford's general manager. I mean, because you need it. It's it's worse in the NFL, in my opinion, in that every player is a free agent every year. So you don't just have to recruit. You have to convince your guys to stay. It's a tough road. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a hard road. I mean, when you think about it, there's not that many NFL free agents every year, right? And guys that have been in the league either become free agents at the end of the season. Where now in college, you're talking maybe 3,000, 4,000 athletes that go into the portal and NIL and all this stuff. And so now obviously you can whittle that down to your needs, right? Much like free agency in the National Football League. So I think and having somebody like a general manager, like an Andrew Luck, for instance, at Stanford, to be able to sort of manage all of that is now, I think, the new landscape, kind of the new norm in college football.
Yeah, but I'd like to see you get back in. I think you deserve another shot at it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks.
Ken and I have talked numerous times about what happened at the end, but this, I think the timing of you coming on today is kind of perfect because yesterday's game, Ken, I was going to say, in all my years covering games and I covered football primarily, but I did a little bit of other sports. We would always say the hardest story to write was an NFL game day story because so much happens in a game. And in the course of an NFL game, so many things happen, and your boss is like, well, you can't write 87 inches on this game. You got to keep it to a certain length, right? Mm-hmm. There's so much Well, to me, yesterday's game was about as simple and easy a game to write. If I had to write that game story yesterday, this was it. Jalen Hurts made every big play presented to him.
Perfect quarterback rating. It's only happened twice in Eagles history before that. 158.3, which is considered
perfect rating.
Yeah, I don't know what goes into that, by the way. I don't know anything about these new stats. I don't know what WAR means in baseball. I don't know I don't know how you get a QB. Do you, Doug? I mean,
I don't. I don't know what the I've seen the formula.
And a head coach.
Yeah, I've seen the formula and but it's hard for me it's hard to describe. It's hard to how they come up with this rating, right? Or a QBR and all this kind of stuff. I think to me, the bottom line stat is, are you winning or losing football games, right?
Exactly.
That one you can measure.
Well, he won. That's all he does, Jalen. I mean, it's phenomenal. But I thought yesterday he played, and I hope some of his critics are listening because we have done anything more for them yesterday. He threw three.
No.
Like I said, he made every big play that was presented to him. Didn't make any mistakes. On the other side, Carson Wentz he wasn't terrible by anything, but he
had a rough start, but he got better for sure.
He didn't make the big play when he needed it though, and that's why the Vikings kept kicking field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. And he made the one big mistake on the pick six. So to me, that was the game. Jalen Hurts was.
But was that a touchdown catch?
I'll tell you what. Oh, hey, what's a
was
catch?
Was that a touchdown catch?
Do you know what a catch is?
I don't anymore. But that one looked like a catch. Who knows? The ball could have been moving slightly, but that was tough. That was a tough call.
I don't see how you overturn that personally. I always thought, and we've said this a few times, that replay was supposed to correct egregious errors, but when you're looking at things with a microscope, in my opinion, you got to let it go. Let's talk about Wentz for a second. Doug, you drafted Carson Wentz. You brought him on as the quarterback. He was having an MVP season the year you guys won the Super Bowl. He got hurt, and then he never looked to be the same. Do you have any idea of the psyche? I mean, was his psyche broken? He looks very nervous in the pocket now under a rush. I mean, what do you think happened to a guy that really had an incredible – and listen, he's still in the league. He started a game yesterday. Yeah. It's not like he's on the soup line. But what do you think happened there?
No, you're absolutely right. He's an NFL caliber quarterback. And I go back, and I've been asked that question quite a bit about Carson and Nick Foles and that year and everything. And obviously the injury, was a bad injury out in LA, the Rams game out there, and Nick comes in and we end up winning that football game. And then, long story short, we end up winning the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, right? A backup quarterback. And then Carson comes back, I think in week 2, 3, 4, something like that in the 2018 season. And just, I just believe in my heart that, and I'm not speaking for Carson at all. It's just how I feel, and having played that position, that when a team wins when your team that you're on wins the Super Bowl, and you were not the quarterback on that field,
Mm.
I think that does something for you a little bit mentally, right? Your psyche changes just a little bit, and there may be some confidence issues that. And listen, Carson was the most confident player, one of the more confident players that I've ever coached and been around. And I just think that, you know, something might have changed with him, and even moving forward in 2018 and 19, he played well. He continued to stay hurt a little bit too, right? In those years, and he was never 100%. He had some back issues. He had that shoulder. There were a lot of things kind of surrounding him. I just think it was the toll on him. And then, of course, listen, it's not easy to play in Philadelphia. There's an expectation. There's obviously the media obligations and the fans, and it's just not easy. And all of that probably had a little bit of an impact, on him. And probably the best thing for Carson was to move on, was to kind of get away and kind of restart, his career somewhere. And obviously he's bounced now on a couple different teams, and hopefully he's found a landing spot here in Minnesota. But he's very capable of leading a football team, and just getting that confidence back. And so I think all of that said, he still can give a team the spark, the opportunity. I mean, you saw it yesterday. Just if he can eliminate some of those mistakes, obviously, maybe that game's a little bit different. But it's tough. It's a tough to play quarterback, and not only play quarterback in the National Football League, but also to play quarterback in Philadelphia.
Well, physically, he checks all the boxes. I mean, he's a big, strong kid. He had really good mobility coming out of college. I don't know if the knee injuries slowed him down a little bit with that. But he just looks like, at times, a very unconfident quarterback with tremendous physical skills. Speaking of quarterbacks, you drafted Trevor Lawrence, another guy that I thought.
Well, I didn't draft him. Urban Meyer the year before drafted
Oh,
him.
okay, that's
I
correct.
took over year
Right.
year two of Trevor. Yeah.
Okay, so what, I don't think by any standard, Trevor has probably not lived up to what people thought he might be. What do you think of him as a quarterback, and his future? He's playing a little bit better last year, though they had a bad day yesterday.
Yeah, I think I one of the reasons I was attracted to Jacksonville was Trevor Lawrence. I liked him coming out of college. Obviously, again, very similar to Carson Wentz, an athletic guy, not a real big guy. He was young coming out of college. He was just a junior, but knew he could get a little bit better and a little bit bigger, and good arm strength. Just a kind of a football junkie in a way. And then getting to Jacksonville myself and getting to know him and understand him, really, I think in my mind said, hey, this is a guy that you can win football games with. And I think in Trevor's situation right now, it's unfortunate, right? He's on his, if you go back to college, he's on, I think, his fourth head coach, his third or fourth coordinator now. I mean, it's just there's so many moving parts around him, and
Yeah.
so he's learning he's only in his, he's still young. He's still a young quarterback, and there just hasn't been, other than my 3 years there hasn't been the consistency around him. And again, that can affect not only your football team or your organization, but I think a young quarterback. And so, and he's another one too that needs to stay healthy and really, keep himself available to his football team. And when he does some really good things. And unfortunately, he didn't have his best game yesterday, and they took one on the chin there. But I think overall he's going to continue to improve.
Hmm.
And I do believe that Coach Cohen there, Liam Cohen, and that staff can really get him back, on track to be in that caliber quarterback that we know he can be.
Hey, Mark, I want to bring you in and ask Doug a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
questions. I will say this. People, I think people that don't do football for a living don't understand when you bring a new offensive coordinator. A lot of times these guys have their own terminology. It's almost like learning a language in some respect, because I know Dick Vermeil used to do, numbered routes. And then, I played for the Colts and they would do number and names. And then for the Philadelphia Stars, it was mostly names. But you had to become very familiar with that and changing OCs as many times as, for both those guys, for Trevor and for Jalen Hurts. That's a big deal. Mark, what do you have for Doug?
I'm going to say, Doug mentioned the difference, the different coaches and coordinators that Trevor's had. Nobody's had more coordinators than Jalen Hurts. I mean, he comes first. He's at Alabama, then Oklahoma. Two great programs, by the way. But then he comes to the Eagles, and I wanted to ask you this too, Doug. But first, so he's with you, and was Frank still with you then, or was he gone? And
No, Frank left after the Super Bowl. Yeah, he went to Indianapolis after the Super Bowl year. Yep,
was your coordinator, and then he goes to Nick with Shane Steichen, I believe, and then Steichen leaves, and he gets his old buddy Johnson. Then he has Kellen Moore. Now he has another guy,
Petula.
I mean, it's amazing. And I know you were with Jalen early on. Could you tell? I mean, I loved him. I loved him when the Eagles drafted. Ken and I talked about this when Ken texted me Jalen Hurts, and I'm like, I love Jalen Hurts. Why you asked me about him? You said the Eagles just took him because you were ahead of me on that, Ken.
Right.
You had the inside before the pick. I'm like, oh my God. I didn't think the Eagles were going to take him, but I love Jalen Hurts. I mean, like you said, winning games, right? That's all the guy ever does is win games. So tell me about him early on. Did you see him developing into what he's become?
Jalen was such a special player to watch in college, to really do the research and do the homework on Jalen Hurts. His story, obviously from Alabama and sticking it out at Alabama after being benched. He sticks it out another year, ends up coming in to help win, I believe it was the SEC championship game, I believe that year. And then ultimately after that, he, had a great conversation with Saban, and then he transfers, to Oklahoma and finishes out his college career there. But everything about Jalen back then and today was all about winning football games. And that's all that matters to Jalen, really. And you listen to him talk, and, yeah, he had a great game yesterday, but I guarantee you today, Monday, he's looking forward to the next game, and how can we get better as a football team? So that to me was always something that really, not only his athletic ability and his ability to run and make plays and throw the football. And, sure, I'm sure he can still get better in the passing game, but you look at what he did yesterday and it's like, this is the National Football League, and you don't get stats like that,
right,
by just being an average quarterback. So my wife and I were talking about this yesterday too, about Jalen. Is like, why does he get such a bad rap all the time? Why do people always come down on Jalen? He's only taken the Eagles to 2 Super Bowls, right? And he's won one. He's got him in a position right now, to maybe make a run, here almost to the midway point of the season. And I don't know. I just think that he doesn't get enough credit sometimes. Everybody wants to criticize him for certain things, but bottom line is that dude wins football games, and that's what you want from your leader, right?
Well, Doug, Mark and I have the answer. Everybody's playing fantasy football now. It's almost winning the game is almost a sideline compared to the money these guys.
I don't play fantasy, but I bet he gave you a lot of points yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he'd have to, with what he did yesterday. I don't know. I just think that he gets a little bit of a bad rap, and just doesn't get enough credit. I don't understand why. I mean, again, bottom line, he wins football games, and it looks to me like they fixed their passing game, right? I mean, the whole thing the last couple of weeks was we couldn't throw. Now, obviously, they didn't have the rushing numbers, but they didn't have to win that game yesterday. But still, put the ball in his hands, and he's got the weapons around him. I think that's one of the things that Howie's done a great job, is been able to build a roster around Jalen. And you mentioned all the coordinators that he's had. Well, they've all built offenses around Jalen Hurts too, and let's find out his strengths, what he can do. and build it and tailor it around him, and he's had success doing it, and he's obviously having success again this year.
Don't you think sports talk radio gins a lot of that stuff up though to create ratings, and they got to have something to talk about, and if everything's hunky dory, nobody's going to call in. Is the Eagles are great, the Eagles are good. I mean, I personally think that has a lot to do with it, and that's why I really don't listen to a lot of sports talk radio anymore. Hey, Mark, breaking news: Brandon Graham looks like he's coming back. What do you think?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I don't want to. I love Brandon. Covered most of his career, or his early part of his career. Here's my take on that. If he comes back and he's a factor, well, that tells me that players don't ever have to go to training camp or do anything, because why? If a guy could sit home for months and months and months, and I'm sure he wasn't. He's probably enjoying. I mean, he's on the tour now, right? He's having dinners and signing autographs, kissing babies, doing all. He's not playing football. He's nowhere near football shape, right? He can't be. If he can come back and make and help this team, then if I'm a player, I'm like, I'm not going to camp. I'll be like Brandon Graham. I'll sit home for a couple months, and then when they need me, call me.
Yeah,
it can't happen, can it? Can a guy sit around that long, come back and make an impact?
what do you think, Doug?
It's going to be hard. And listen, we all love Brandon Graham, and he was an integral part of winning that championship, that Super Bowl 52. With that sack on Brady and causing the fumble and all that, and he's had such a great career there in Philadelphia. And obviously he retired for a reason. But I think too, some of it is he just misses the game so much. He misses the locker room, misses the guys. He just misses competition. And gosh, you look at the Eagles' defensive line. I mean, it's a beast of a D line, and obviously if he can, fill a need or a void, maybe, but other than that, it would be hard this time of year to come back and try to plug and play. Because again, look, if he comes back, they've got to make a roster move somewhere, correct? They've got to make a decision on another player, maybe a young player, whether they release him, put him on practice squad, something. There's got to be a decision in there. Not sure what their roster numbers are right now, but there's going to be a decision made, and it's going to impact somebody else to make room for Brandon. So all that has to, kind of come into play during situations like this.
And Doug, you mentioned that, putting players on you say you just put them on the practice squad. Well, when you put a good player on the practice squad, he becomes open for any other NFL team to give him a roster spot on their 53.
Well, you have to cut him before you get him to the practice squad.
And the only exception there is the veteran guys. The 6 veteran guys that you put on your practice squad, they have a little bit more say. If a team wants them, they can yes or no it.
I didn't realize that.
And so it's a little bit more protection for a veteran player than a young player, but still, listen, yes, to your point, Ken, he is open to 31 other teams that could potentially need defensive linemen.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, we only got a couple minutes left. So how do you spend your time these days? I know your son Josh is a tight end for the Houston franchise in the UFL, right? Is he still doing that, or is he?
He finished this past spring, with Houston Roughnecks, and had a good spring. He was with us in Jacksonville for 2 years, and ended up got hurt in training camp a year ago in 24, and then went into the UFL this spring. But he's now in a position, he's transitioning himself, probably out of football, and moving into more normal life. He's married with 2 baby boys, and we have 4 grandbabies now, and all boys. Yeah, thank you. And all boys. And so we've spent our time kind of traveling this spring, going to see our boys and our families and grandbabies. And my wife and I took a trip to Italy this summer. We've never been over there, and we spent 2 weeks in Italy and places like Rome and Paris, obviously France.
We just did it. It was a trip of a lifetime.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. My oldest son, he and I in September, we did an elk hunt in Montana, and for 6 days. And so we were up in the mountains of Montana, right outside of Bozeman, and so I've been spending a lot of time with the boys, my wife and I, and obviously, our friends that are our age, their sons and daughters are even either having babies or they're getting married, right? So we've been invited to like 14 weddings, this just in 25 alone, and haven't been to all 14,
including the
obviously.
Papali coronations, right?
Well, he had two of them.
I know,
I mean, he
back to
had two
back.
in Philly.
Yeah,
I mean,
poor
back to
Vince. He
back
spent all that
months.
movie money on those weddings, I'm sure.
That's right. That's right. So we've just enjoyed our time, and try to stay as close to football as I can and stay plugged in a little bit. But still, it's good to kind of unplug and kind of refresh a little bit. That's what happened, when I got let go after the 20 season in Philadelphia there in 21. Just being able to, I think, recharge and really put a sense of purpose to what I want to do, and a direction that I would consider going in the future.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Doug, Philadelphia still holds you in high regard. If I know that you had made a comment about if somebody needed something in Philly about offensive expertise, but whatever happens with that, I know that Philadelphia would love to have you back in some capacity, but I think you have other stuff that's going to come your way in the future. And I want to thank you. And by the way, Doug, I'm going to leave my entire calendar open for that. What's the name of your club down there?
Tequesta Country Club.
Yeah, the Tequesta member guest. I'm going to leave my dates all
there
open.
You go. There you go.
I'll come in. I'm going to bring my 15 handicap down there. I guarantee you we'll make some noise.
We'll make some noise with a 15. There you go.
That would be great. And of course, your wife Jeannie, been in her company. She's a lovely lady. You have a great family. You have 3 sons and 4 grandsons.
That's correct.
Okay, I have 4 daughters and no grandchildren. So you're beating me on all counts there. So we got to get some. And hey, listen, all my girls are single. They're pretty good looking, Doug. So
there you go.
Listen, check them out on Instagram. But listen, for Mark, thanks as always for being my partner on the Bird Brains with Ken and Mark. And again, for everybody listening, like and subscribe, and we'll get this thing cranking. And Doug, if you ever make it back to Philly, please contact me. Dinner's on me, and appreciate you being on today, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys, for having me. Good to see you. It's always good to get back to Philadelphia when we can, and still got some great memories, obviously, and great friends there, and enjoy our time. So I appreciate the time this morning.
There will only be one coach in Eagles history that won the first Super Bowl, and that is Doug Pederson. And for that, we'll always be grateful.
There's a statue outside the lake.
That's right.
That's right. Still there. Birds are dumping on it every day. The flying type of birds.
All right, everybody. So for Mark Eckel, this is Ken Dunek. Thanks for watching the Bird Brains with Ken and Mark, everybody. We'll see you next week with Coach Dick Vermeil. Great coaches back to back. See you then. Take care.